What will Helen do after Charles walks out on her after 20 years of marriage, leaving her for his co-worker and their mutual friend, Brenda?
In Tyler Perry's Diary of a Mad Black Woman, the play from 2002, Helen is left to grapple with how to deal with the ultimate betrayal of her marriage.
Will she find love again?
Will Charles get what he deserves in the end? Let's find out in part 2 and the conclusion of our full breakdown of the Diary of a Mad Black Woman, the play.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
We want to thank all of the supporters who helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation of $5 or more via our website at axiom.app, Cash App, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber.
If you're on part 2, you might want to go watch part 1 first.
Yes. So we've already covered part 1 of the play, and we also have covered a commentary on the entire movie. The links are in the description for both of those. So let's start with a short background. So what happened in the play up to now? Helen's husband of 20 years is cold to her and seems to have checked out of their marriage, despite Helen desperately trying to save the marriage. And so they've been unable to have children. And although Charles has nothing when they met, he's now a very successful attorney. At the end of part 1, Charles has just revealed that he's leaving his wife, Helen, for Brenda, a fellow attorney at his firm, and a friend of both he and Helen, some friend, right? Helen is completely devastated and humiliated. And so that's where we're picking up now. Let's find out what she does to turn her life around.
Yeah, where is he at? That's all I want to know. Where is somebody going to tell me where he at?
So first thing is Medea comes in.
Yes, while Helen is on the couch sleep or whatever. And this is Medea's first appearance in the play.
Yeah, Medea is just like, where is he? Where is he? She run in with a peace out. She runs upstairs, fires a shot.
No, somebody gonna tell me where he at. Where is he at?
He's gone. He's not here, Medea.
Fires a shot early.
And she's Helen's grandmother. So that's the same as in the movie. And then she starts talking about never let your man hang out with your girlfriend, because apparently Helen's mother has told, what the deal was.
Remember that song I sent you probably was a couple weeks ago? Betty Wright.
Oh yeah,
the babysitter.
About how the babysitter, the young woman went and stole your man. So then we get this joke about Rosa Parks.
Rosa stole my man.
And we had talked in part 1 about how all of these jokes are being made on, on figures that are culturally significant to Black folks. And so now we get a Rosa Parks joke. And so Medea is trying to explain, hey, Rosa Parks stole my man, and y'all think she stayed on the bus to help Black people.
See, people think Rosa stayed on that bus to help Black people.
She did, didn't she?
But no, she stayed on the bus because I was at the bus stop like this. And then, she shows herself like waiting for Rosa Parks to seemingly, lay hands on her.
The real reason she didn't get off that bus is I was at the bus stop like this.
Right. This was used in a Medea Homecoming.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. You don't remember that? It wasn't that long ago.
It sounded sounded familiar, but I didn't,
Yeah, and they had the whole thing, and they.
Oh yeah, where they made.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember now where they actually showed that. So again, we had discussed this in the past. Some of what I think Tyler Perry views as his best jokes, he will find a way to weave them into his different movies.
Yeah.
So then they get to talking about, the money situation, because Charles has left and Helen is like, I'm not rich. Charles is rich. And so here we see Medea again, and it's almost like a repeat of exactly, if you've seen the film, what happens in the film. She says she signed a prenup, so none of the money, she's not entitled to any of the money. And that she signed it because his coach thought he was going to go pro, and they made her to sign this prenup as a condition of them getting married.
Was this college coach, high school coach?
Probably college, I'm guessing.
Well,
but I don't know. Then. So, but he messed up his leg or something. He messed up something that they were, and Daddy Charles had talked about it in part 1. And so then we have Medea also explaining to her, like, look, just because you didn't work outside of the home doesn't mean that you did nothing and that you don't deserve any money for this 20 years of this marriage that you've been cooking, cleaning, sleeping with him whenever he wants, da-da-da.
Cooking, cleaning,
Sound like a job to me. How long you been doing that?
20 years.
And so then she does that whole thing where she pulls out the calculator and starts calculating how much he owes her.
Cooking and cleaning for 20 years. Having sex with him when he wants.
Which, is the same as in the movie. And that is, the people are laughing and whatever in the audience. And so, she says, was the sex good? And then she's like, well, no, major deduction. And then everybody's falling out in the crowd.
Was the sex good?
Nope, not lately.
Major deduction.
And then Helen also volunteers that Charles hit her too. And so then, you see Medea start typing even faster or, punching in keys even faster on this calculator.
This one day, Medea, he hit me.
And so the other thing that's a little different than in the movie is that in the movie, Charles has made her put her own mother in a home. Whereas in here, Daddy Charles, who is Charles's father, Charles Sr., has been put in a home. So that's a little bit less cutting than forcing her to put her own mother in a nursing home.
He get put in a home?
Daddy Charles?
Yeah.
That's where he lives. He's only visiting whenever he's over at their house.
He just come out when he wants?
I guess so. At least according to the way this is. Yeah. But so he's, that's where he lives. So then Helen says that Charles has also closed the joint accounts. And then, Medea makes the jokes about how she'd been to jail for writing checks and all
Bernie.
that stuff, so.
You ain't say nothing but a word. I've been in jail for check writing and...
So the next thing we know, there's somebody at the door, and Brenda is at the door in a sequins green dress.
Damn, can you turn the dress off?
And they get back and go back and forth with each other, Helen and Brenda. And of course, Medea is there running interference and whatnot.
You're going to have to come back tomorrow. That's the day she talked to hoes.
And adding the comedy to the situation. Helen is like, you think you're running something now that you stole my husband and blah, blah, blah.
Yes, she is.
You think you running something just because you with Charles? This is my house.
Want us to cover your favorite movie ASAP? A one-time contribution of just $50 or more to Axiom Amnesia gets you a deep dive on demand, a 30-minute discussion on any film you choose.
It's easy. Step 1, send $50 via our website, axiom.app, where you can pay via card, Apple Pay, or you can pay directly via Cash App at $Axiom Amnesia. See the links below. Step 2, tell us your movie, email, the name you want to appear on screen, and what kind of deep dive you want. General, a specific character, a particular aspect of the film, etc. Step 3, watch your deep dive on demand with your name listed as executive producer.
Lock in your deep dive on demand today and hurry. Spots are limited.
This offer is not valid for filmmakers or distributors. Subject to availability and terms apply. And so then we get another amazing 1980s film reference where Medea tells Brenda to step into the light, Carol Ann.
Step into the light, Carol Ann. Step into the light, Carol Ann.
And if you know, this is a reference from the original Poltergeist movie. Carol Ann is the little girl who gets snatched into the TV by the poltergeist.
Is it the scene with the black guy, Richard Lawson?
Who is
Beyonce's daddy?
Who is Beyonce's mother's ex-husband's, Yeah. So,
and he was in Divorce in the Black.
Mm-hmm, yeah. He was. So, yeah. So the step into the light, Carol Ann. I don't even think that was Carol Ann is the little girl's name from Poltergeist.
Oh.
But I don't know if that's an exact quote, but basically you already know
it's Run to the Light.
Reference.
But I don't think I would have known that if I hadn't watched it again a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah. But see, people used to say that. And so there were the Poltergeist references that happened. We talk about that, how you have all of these different things that go on. So it was quite common back in that time. Like we talk about how comedians and stand-ups would, have these references. And so that was definitely one. Or something referencing Poltergeist and the little girl getting snatched into the TV. So then, Medea still got her piece, and she actually at one point, shoots at Brenda.
Girl, I'm about to violate my probation. Let me get the hell out of here, girl.
And then, there's just a lot of, back and forth comedy, going on to kind of lighten it. And then Helen's mother busts in and tells Helen that Charles has been in a bad accident and he's paralyzed from the neck down.
Charles has been in a bad accident, baby. He's been paralyzed from the neck down. Come on, baby.
And Helen ultimately is like, she's like, well, don't you want to go see about him? And because Medea and Brenda, exit stage left, they get off of there. And so then it's only Helen and her mother left. And so Helen tells her mama, no, I don't want to go see about him.
Aren't you going to see about Charles? No, Mama, I hope he rots in hell.
And which is very different than in the movie. In the movie, first time Helen hears about when she hears or sees what happens, she runs to the hospital to be by Charles' side.
I hope he rots in hell.
But this Helen is like, I hope he rots in hell. So then you start hearing the church music coming in a little bit. Tamla Mann puts her singing pipes on.
You gonna sit around here and feel sorry for yourself? God is not to blame for your problems.
And she starts with kind of this pep talk, praise and worship, sort of remembering who you are, remember who God is, and you only got to have faith is kind of the overall message, your faith in God.
Honey, a little faith will take you so far, but you got to believe. Oh, you think you're the only one been through something?
And so, at one point she's like, you a black woman who was, born from other, a legacy of basically strong black women.
But girl, you are a black woman born into a legacy of black women.
Yeah.
You who were raped and beaten and stolen from their families and all of that.
That were raped, beaten, and stolen from their families. And there was nothing they could do about it.
She says, y'all got basically uppity and bougie, forgot where you came from.
See, that's what's wrong with some of you black folks. You done got so rich and uppity, you forgot where you come from.
And she said, we come from slaves.
Yeah.
You come from slaves.
Right? Which everyone wants to run from because they take it as some shame.
Yeah.
Instead of showing the strength in our lineage of just basically being snatched up, coming across those treacherous, transport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then getting here and going through all that to say, dang, and we're still here, which means we survived. Like how much stronger than most we must be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I don't want to talk about that, want to forget it, so that from the standpoint of this writing, that you forget that you even have strength.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You just think, oh, everything was always gravy. And then when something happens, it's, I just can't handle this little thing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But she says you come from slaves. And this is, remember, 2002. So in 2002, you could still say it. Nobody was
right?
like, no one ever, don't say that. I don't come.
That didn't happen. That's fake.
Yeah. Like the audience roared and was, supportive of it. And so, again, the mother is trying to let her know and remind her who she is. All we need is faith. And then, of course, she's got this praise break sermon thing happening. And then Helen basically is like, well, Mama, you weren't saying all of this when I was buying you stuff.
Savannah.
You heard me. Lord have mercy.
Stay with that man. He's such a good man.
Right. He's a good man. Go take care of it. No, you wasn't saying, you weren't complaining about things when I was buying you stuff.
You sure didn't say that when I was buying you all those expensive gifts and paying all your bills and putting Gina through college.
So, and the mother tells her, hey, don't get mad at me, get mad at the devil. And this is just like one heck of a religious pep talk she's giving her. And then, of course, it's ratcheting up and leading into a song. And
so Myrtle, her mother tries to basically just leave, right?
And somebody said maybe Myrtle isn't her mother. I don't know. It's true. Some of these references, even on screen, are not exactly correct. With different names and stuff. Yeah. So I don't know if the mama's name is really Myrtle or if Myrtle is the old lady that was dancing with Daddy Charles in like part one.
So what did her name become?
With the irritating voice.
Tamla Mann's character in these plays. Do you remember?
I don't.
Cora. Yeah, Cora.
Oh, Cora. Oh, yeah. Well, but then that's a completely different character. Yeah.
But this idea of being her grandmother, and it's just a whole bunch going on.
Yeah, because Medea is Cora's mother.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But anyway, so the thing is, you have to understand what someone's going through too. Like, you giving all this religious talk and all this, how you supposed to be, and God and the devil, but your daughter is going through all this, says some stuff that you can't stomach, and you ready to storm on out.
Yeah.
But you got the nerve and the audacity to throw up in my face a few dollars you gave me?
Yeah. She's like, well, let me get my stuff in,
You, hard as I tried to raise you and your sister, like this. You gonna disrespect me like this?
And so she's singing a song, and basically the lyrics to the song are like, God is on your side, the battle has already been won, and the devil is a lie.
The battle has already been won. Tell the devil he's a lie.
So again, just more reinforcing of the faith, and that there will be hard times, but you just got to remember your faith in these difficult times is really the message.
Dear Diary, after I apologized to my mother, we both prayed and I felt a little better.
So, here comes the courier, Orlando, again.
Yes, I'm looking for Miss McCarter.
And he comes to the door. Medea opens the door, and of course, you got this whole thing with Medea always
Flirting.
trying to flirt with this guy.
Sit down.
Ready?
Closer.
Yes. And then she signs for the package, and then Helen comes on in. And Medea is getting up, and she actually puts her butt in Orlando's face on the sofa because she invites him in and he's sitting down. And she pretends to fall or whatever. We also find out that Helen says that Medea is her grandmother on her daddy's side. So a slightly different explanation given than in the movie where Joe, Medea's brother, is the one who sort of explains how this is the grandmother.
Yeah, we should do a family tree.
I know. And I
if
think
there's one out there.
the hard part is that Tyler Perry, when he was making this, I mean, he probably didn't know that he would be, growing his, all of these different stories about people.
Yeah.
And sometimes, when you have like kind of independent stories, you're thinking, oh, it's only Medea. But then you got these people coming in and out, the Browns, Medea, Cora, and what you said in the past matters to the present. I've seen that in like books that I read where there are these, serial stories that have all of this kind of same characters, and it goes on.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are inconsistencies that happen. And I think this is just one where, how would he know way back then that it was going to be so big,
Yeah.
So at any rate, Helen and Orlando are left alone to talk and whatever. And, he's like, you got a lovely house or a lovely home. And she's like, it's a house, not a home.
It's a house. It's not a home.
And so she's just being very dramatic, Helen is. And they have a little bit of talk back and forth. They have this Newsweek magazine, and Helen is like, oh, it's great that you read Newsweek or whatever, because that was left over from Charles. And she's like, maybe one day you won't have to be a delivery man.
Maybe one day you won't have to be a delivery man.
So then when Medea comes and sits, she gives him something to drink, and then she comes and sits back down. It's revealed that Orlando is worth $6 million and he owns the delivery company.
Only black man to make $6 million in 1 year at the courier business.
And or whatever. And so then Helen perks up and she's all like, oh, nice to meet you, Orlando,
once
or whatever.
She starts leaving, she's like, Orlando.
Yeah,
Bruh.
Orlando, it was really nice meeting you.
And then he snaps on her though.
You know what? Save it, okay? See, you want to talk to me now because you found out I own my own company.
He like, some of you sisters are so trifling.
Some of you sisters can be so trifling.
He turns her down because he's like,
He
you
say,
didn't
I'm
want
the
me.
same brother that came in here 5 minutes ago. And
Yeah.
you treated me this other way, right?
Now, I'm the same brother that came in here 5 minutes ago, but now you're treating me differently. So all of that, keep it.
Helen is revealed to be the same as Brenda to me, because Brenda wanted Charles
digging.
because he was playing ball and stuff, and then he became a successful lawyer, and here she goes, running off with him. And then, he gives this spew that was good for the time, right? All black men ain't the same.
And listen, just for the record, all black men are not the same.
Which is,
Right.
that didn't stick well because we see where we are today.
Yeah. They're not. And it was like important to be putting that out there because big portion of Tyler Perry's body of work would seem to be male bashing.
Yeah, but the audience reveals how the sentiment. They applaud, right? When he was like, all black men are not the same. There was a big applause.
Yeah.
But then they tried to turn this into her being upset about what she's going through.
I just hate all men right now.
I just hate all men right now.
If you hated all men, you would have let them walked out. It was just that, oh, I found out this dude got some money. So there's no redemption in this scene for that. For me.
And so Orlando is like, how would you like it if I said that I don't date black women anymore because they all gold diggers or whatever?
How would you like it if I said I don't date black women anymore because I think they're all gold diggers?
And then she kind of diverts attention at some point because she says, well, I wouldn't like it or whatever. And then she's like, well, I don't appreciate a married man flirting with me.
Because I don't appreciate it when I see a married man flirting with me.
So she continues to just try to grasp at straws. And he's like, oh, well,
you was running after a guy who you thought was married too. So that's...
even in this moment, right? Oh, don't leave. You got $6 million. Don't leave. But then we find out that Orlando's wife died 5 years ago and he's got 3 daughters to raise.
My wife died about 5 years ago, okay, leaving me with 3 daughters to raise.
How does a woman who lives in a home like this,
that's daddy's little girl,
how is she just so sad? Yeah, that was daddy's little girl, right?
Sad.
How does a woman who lives in a home like this be so sad?
And how is she just so sad or whatever? And then Medea drops that gem, money don't buy happiness.
Money don't buy happiness.
And then, of course, has to add a joke. At least that's what they say.
At least that's what people say.
But I sure would like to find out kind of thing, right?
I sure in the hell would like to find out.
And one thing I did notice about Medea is she's wearing, I think, like a platinum blonde wig as opposed to a gray wig that we also always see her in now. So
Could you even find a gray wig back then?
I'm sure you could.
Oh,
Cora got on a gray wig, I think. Not Cora, Myrtle, I guess. You got on a gray wig. Helen's mama, Tamla Mann's character. Okay, and then Orlando starts, because we don't know what his religious preference is. And we find out that he says, oh, God never puts more on us than we can bear or whatever. And so clearly he's a religious man as well.
Yeah, he claims to be saved and sanctified.
You saved?
Yes, ma'am. Saved and sanctified, I am.
Well, I better leave you alone then.
I don't even know what sanctified is. I hear it all the time.
Well, I'm sure somebody in the comments will tell you.
Yeah.
We'll be glad to inform you on what that is. And so he asks Helen, are you a Christian? And she says, no, not anymore. She's not a Christian anymore.
Are you Christian?
No, not anymore.
So then, they have to make fun of, basically quoting from the Bible. And then Medea, gets it wrong and says palms instead of psalms.
That's the 23rd Psalm.
But Helen is actually able to know what scripture is being quoted, which says that, her knowledge of the Bible is probably pretty good if you can hear something and it's not just John 3:16 and
What is it?
It's Romans 8:28.
And you know where it came from in the Bible. So that's something to consider.
Yeah. So then she basically is still trying to get talking about, I'm sorry, Orlando, would you come to let's do dinner?
Can I invite you for dinner tonight?
Oh, I'd really like that.
Still trying to go dig on this man, and then he's like, yeah, not now, I'll come by. Can you cook? Like, wait, what?
That'll
Do you
work.
cook?
Hell no.
So that is one thing I think is probably legitimate argument of today, where they like the men just want to come over for the first date. That's kind of hilarious. But he was like, yeah, I want to come over and you can cook for me. That's like, is that a date? That's like a chore. You got to work for this guy.
Yeah. So, but I mean, she had to work for her husband too. I think that.
Yeah, but I guess if you're a gold digger, then I'm putting in the work because for this guy with money. But I'm just talking about in general. A first date, you got to cook for somebody you don't even know. That's the first date.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think that's a little weird and not right. You know, like not coffee, not something a little bit more benign than coming up in somebody's house and you got to cook for them. And I don't know, but I mean, it maybe some dates down the line that could be the case. But
and
yeah,
then, you know, they have the cultural joke talking about, well, last time Medea went over there, she served quiche and pate. Well, she didn't use those words, but she had to mispronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're seeing like, okay, maybe Helen is about to get her a new man.
Yeah. But so Medea do say, get that yellow man.
Yeah, you better get that yellow man and put him on layaway.
They'll be coming back in style soon.
They'll be coming back in style soon.
Do they still have those conversations now?
About who's in style, light skin,
dark skin
dudes. I don't know. Some people in the comments throw it out every so often. They're like, yeah, you know, well,
I'm talking about like what's in style, quote, in style now.
No, I don't feel like that, but I hear references, right? Especially like from the guys who are like, well, you know, I was a dark skin or I was a light skin. And, you know, at the time, you know, they'll talk about how whatever they were at the time wasn't in. It wasn't in. I wasn't, you know, light skin wasn't in right then or dark skin wasn't in right then. So I call hell kind of, you know, sort of comment that they might put on the various videos. I've seen that, but yeah. Interesting. So next thing we know, Brenda is at the door. Medea answers the door.
Hello.
And Medea makes this comment, I missed you last time, talking about when she was shooting at her. I missed you last time because it was dark and you so dark.
I missed you last time because it was dark and you so dark.
Yeah, it reminds me of kind of what Ari Lennox was talking about Martin and how she didn't like how Martin would talk about Pam because she was dark skinned, even though I don't think the character necessarily focused on that. Right, you know, there was this whole discussion a few weeks ago about that, and this is, you know, probably late summer 2025 that we're talking about this. Yeah, but yeah, and then he just had the yellow man comment, and now he's having dark-skinned jokes.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, so here's the hard part, right? People actually say stuff like that.
Yeah.
They would if they wanted to insult or do a dig. So it's just kind of like, where's the line of being realistic about stuff people would say that maybe some people would find funny?
Exactly. It was said for a joke. I was just listening to Josh Johnson about that line, sort of, right? Being able to be like, that's a funny joke, and like that person is wrong, or you know, for telling that, right?
Right.
It's a bad joke in a sense.
So then somebody wheels Charles in the house.
Right there.
And Medea is like, is that Teddy Pendergrass?
Is that Teddy Pendergrass?
Okay, that was kind of like a wild thing to say.
That was one of them things where like, ooh, you're crossing the line. But so the thing is, he was, okay, why does this seem to be so common? He was in an accident in the early 80s, I think.
Yeah.
He was driving his car with a trans woman.
Yes, in the car.
That was those are scandals back
Huge
in the day.
scandals for the 80s.
It still is kind of now. They talking about, I don't know, one of them guys from G Unit or something talking about, but yeah. But that seemed to be happening to a lot of them celebrities back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So he makes a reference now. Mind you, this is in 2002. Teddy Pendergrass doesn't die until 2010. So he's still alive, but the accident happened in the 80s. So we're talking about 20 years after the accident happened.
And
so
he was coming out on stage in his wheelchair and stuff,
so,
performing.
but like, you know, that's like one of those teeth clenching, like, oh, you know, was it, I mean,
yeah,
but
because it's an accident that most
paralyzed
people don't
him.
want to happen to them.
Yeah. Is
Probably
that
everyone.
Teddy Pendergrass? So they wheel Charles in the house. And then the two women start arguing over who's going to take care of Charles.
You know what, Helen? I can't do this any longer. I'm not a caregiver.
Because now that he's incapacitated, Brenda don't want no parts of him. She's like, this is your husband.
So what do you want me to do with him, Brenda? He is still your husband. Always have been.
He been your husband the whole time, you know? And you got Helen like, what am I supposed to do with him and whatever? And so neither of them wants to take care of Charles, but Charles is getting dropped off.
Bruh.
So in this play, Helen has not been up to the hospital looking after him and doing all that she was doing in the movie, which, I don't know. I don't know what the ending is yet, but if it's going to end like it did before, this makes Helen look really bad. I think, because the reason that in the movie we're happy with Helen going with Orlando in the end and divorcing Charles, even though she waited till Charles, went and got saved and everything. But she told Charles, I'm in love with somebody else. I'm going to go be with somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like here, she doesn't take care of him. And then now she's going to go be with somebody else, even though he did leave her, which,
And she only wanted to be with the guy because she found out he had money.
In this play, yeah.
And we didn't talk, but the audience reaction to that was like, bruh, come on. That's terrible that she's going after Orlando after she finds out he have money.
And so then Medea starts testing Charles to see, what he can feel or whatever. So she's poking on him and stuff like that.
What you looking at me for?
And then we get, some reference to whether his, can still get up or whatever. And then she's messing with him, right? Because now he can't move. So you could do all kind of stuff to him. And she actually flops her boobs down on his head from behind.
Paralyzed, but I'm drinking milk.
And it just is, the crowd is going wild. People are laughing. And then she starts to dance provocatively in front of Charles as well. And, kind of twerk a little, give him a little almost lap dance, right? For those of you who don't know, you should visit axiom.app and you'll be able to look at all of the recent videos across all of our channels. And I'm putting that on the screen right now just so y'all can see it and see what it looks like, because there are a ton of videos that are over there. And also, I think that there are at least about 100 exclusive videos that are available for our Patreon members and our YouTube members. So if you're interested in more of our content, as I've seen many of you binge watching, be sure to check those things out. And Helen is like, basically, payback is a mother.
Payback is a mother.
So at the end, Helen also keeps telling Charles, like, I'm running this now. Don't come in here thinking you running, She's talking mean to him. In the beginning, she was so nice to him, but now he has pushed her too far and she don't have no sympathy for him at all.
My husband has been home now for 3 days, sitting in the same spot that she left him.
Helen has left Charles sitting in his wheelchair for days, 3 days to be exact. And she doesn't care that he smells awful. She chides him about he's stinking.
He smells awful, but I don't care.
And she is, flaunting the fact that he can't get up and fix himself some food.
Licking your lips, baby, you hungry?
So he in there hungry, stinking because he done went all over himself.
Well, why don't you go in the kitchen and fix you something to eat then?
And she's like, go fix yourself some food. So this is very much like in the movie. And she tells him, though, looks like you didn't have time to take me off all your insurance. And when you die, I'm going to get $4 million.
That means when you die, I get $4 million.
And
come on. This character is terrible.
And she talks about how mad she is and how faithful that she was to him. I loved you. And not that stupid slut, she says.
I'm the one that love you, not that stupid slut.
And you're getting just what you deserve with one foot in the wheelchair and the other one in a grave.
I think you're getting just what you deserve because you got one foot in the wheelchair and the other one's in the grave.
So she has zero sympathy for Charles. She is not talking nice to Charles. And instead of like in the movie where Helen has this moment where she's just unloading on Charles, in this play, she is unyielding. Like this is her attitude.
That's how it was in the movie, right?
She was angry, but I don't think she was
for weeks.
Well, yeah,
at least.
So then she sings a song.
Try to hurt me, throw me out like something
you know,
best song.
Oh, and I saw you bobbing your head to the song.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, it starts off basically where you tried to leave me broken and confused, and we'll talk about the song.
Ain't it funny?
What? Oh, it's just like, ain't it funny? Just that's the way it turned out like this. Yeah, it just was a good song though. The hook, the chorus or whatever and everything. Yeah.
So then she's talking to Charles again, Helen is, and she's like, I love you so much, but it just makes me mad as hell that because you can't move, you can't get up and leave, you can't ignore me. This is the first time you've ever just sat and listened to me.
This is the first time since we've been married that you have had to just sit there and listen to me.
You said had to, which kind of ruined it, right?
And it took all of this for you to hear me. And so then Charles is like, and then he's like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And the crowd has like a mixed reaction to the fact that he says, I'm sorry. And he's like, I'm sorry. Just let me die. Right. Because Charles is suffering. He's in his own, doing his own stuff. He's hungry and she is getting her lick back. And she says, no, I want you to suffer the same way that you made me suffer, And she does agree to go give him a shower, But in the movie, one of the best scenes was when she wheels him into that tub. Well, doesn't wheel him in. She just basically ejects him from the wheelchair into the tub. And he's barely able to hold his head to keep it above water. And at one point, it does sink below. Like, that's one of the best scenes in the movie. Obviously, it'd be really hard to do that on a stage play. But because somebody could get hurt. Just imagine. You trying to eject the actor into a, something on screen and just, on stage, it just would not work. But anyway, she gives him a shower. Then we see the next scene. And so in the next scene, Medea and Mabel both show up together. Helen is there, whatever. And they have, a bunch more of the comedy small talk or whatever. And Medea brings up the movie Misery. And
so where's that reference? Not that reference, but it was used. Was it earlier in this play or was it in the movie?
Oh, I think
because we talked about
it. Go to the comments, y'all. I've seen too many Tyler Perry things lately, and now I don't remember where it was. But yeah, there's another reference to Misery. But this Misery reference here, oh, wait a minute. Is it? I'm trying to remember. I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me. Somebody in the comments help us out. Did you, she says, did you see Misery? All you need is a piece of wood.
All you need is a piece of wood right up in here.
Now, if you saw the movie Misery, which is one of the most amazing movies with Kathy Bates, and I think maybe it might have been the movie. It might have been in the movie it was in the movie. In the movie Diary of a Mad Black Woman, she makes reference to Misery. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was, but she does because that it was not this previous video we did. It was the one before. So it was definitely the movie. So she's like, all you need is that piece of wood. Now, if you remember, Kathy Bates as this woman in Misery is mad. And so because the guy who she's holding captive has tried to escape. So she's going to make it where he can't escape. And she puts that piece of wood in between his two legs while he's in the bed. And she's talking slowly. She's like, what they used to do back in the day, it was called hobbling. And she says it just as calm. And then she take that sledgehammer and she basically breaks his ankles. And it was just brutal.
And you hit him right there on that bone. Wham, wham.
But there was this slight reference to, the whole electronics in the bathtub thing too, because Medea, when she walks in, she's like, I got to use the bathroom. So she goes in there and then she comes out and she grabs the radio and then starts to go back into the bathroom, which we actually did see that same scene sort of in I Could Do Bad All By Myself, the movie.
Yeah, and we did cover I Could Do Bad All By Myself, the movie, and we'll put some links to that in.
But that's
in
like a common trope, though, too, and I think it actually happened.
Electrocution.
Back in the day, it was hairdryer. Right?
Oh yeah, So they're joking. Well, Medea is joking about how he's paralyzed, so it's not going to hurt if you hobbled him, and you just are basically abusing his body. And she says, I burned him with cigarettes and I did all these things, right? Because he can't feel it because he's paralyzed. And then we get this, reasonably clever sort of comedic banter back and forth with the play on words between peace and peace, like peace be still from the Bible, P-E-A-C-E versus P-I-E-C-E, aka a gun, right? And then the gun as a peacemaker jokes.
Hold your peace and let the Lord fight. Hold your peace.
I thought those were they landed well. They were pretty funny.
Homonyms, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Medea gives this sermon and about it and whatever with the peace and all that and how the gun is a peacemaker.
And peace was still. And if you want peace right now, peace is still in the future. All right?
And then gets her footwork in. Now, I don't know why this is some of the most entertaining stuff that I ever see, but when they get the praises on and you get the church footwork, I love it. And so the crowd loved it too. They were laughing because, of course, Medea looks really funny and she's not serious about it. But
Tyler Perry done raised up that dress. Just ridiculous.
And so then you got Myrtle off to the side. That's Tamala Mann's character. And she's like, you playing with the Lord. Just stop playing with the Lord, And then, Medea makes her exit. And then Helen is left there with her mother, and then she opens a correspondence, and it says that Helen is now the acting owner of the company.
I am now the acting owner of the company.
And so she's like, I got somebody need to be fired. So of course it's about to be Brenda.
I got somebody I got to fire right now.
I just told you gotta work it out.
But right before that, so her mama was telling her, I'm so proud of you,
Oh, how you taking care of him?
Yeah, and you could have done all these spiteful things basically, and then she got into the whole you reap what you sow. But so acting owner of the company, I don't know what acting owner is, but but anyway, it just shows that the problem with fraternization, right? Because now she's trying to call and basically get Helen fired, right? Or get Brenda fired from the company. But like if Charles wasn't involved with Brenda, right? Then your job wouldn't be on the line. And if Brenda wasn't involved with Charles, her job wouldn't be on the line. So he's just when you do these things, it calls things into question because what would be the cause for you as the acting whatever role in the company firing this lady?
Right. There wouldn't be. You just about to get some more vengeance. Speaking of vengeance, we actually did a video on Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, this movie that somebody had ordered and wanted to deep dive on demand on. And that is available to our members on both Patreon and YouTube. And it actually was a really good movie, and it's a wonderful way to kind of have some discussions about, it's a foreign film, it's a Korean film, and it has subtitles, but, we kind of cover it. And then if you just want the meat and potatoes of the discussion, it's great. So, we do have that available.
Yes.
Hello?
Medea.
There they got me, girl.
So Helen is all dressed up, and she accepts a call from DeKalb County Jail. And this is where Medea is. She like, they didn't call me or whatever. And then, they have a little bit of, joking or whatever. And Medea is calling to find out if Orlando has come over for the date that they're going to have or whatever. And so so she hangs up with her after that. But she's like, basically have a good time, but don't give up nothing. In other words, keep your legs closed. And so
I think these are references from the earlier play. I Can Do Bad All By Myself, I think was the one before this one. So we missed some of the references because we're not watching them in order.
Oh,
so I think the radio one may have been from the play, but we'll find out. Y'all have to subscribe and come back to see when we figure this stuff out.
So Orlando is over for dinner, and they were having a really nice time. They seem to be getting along well or whatever. And then they decided they're, gonna just sit down and chit chat. So Helen tells Orlando, I'm happy I met you because you've got me through the roughest times of my life. And, he seems to accept that. And she just feels, it seems like it's going well. And so then Orlando was like, do you have a waterfall in the house? Because you hear like the shower running or whatever.
What's that?
Do you have a waterfall in the house?
No.
You sure?
Oh.
And she's made him go upstairs to the bathroom instead of using the bathroom that's downstairs. So then they just kind of dismissed that and let it go, go for a while. And so he says, well, tell me about Charles. And so she's like, well, he left me, but I still love him to death.
I still love him to death.
And so it's like, okay, wait a minute. What's going on? This water running and you talking about you love him to death and you emphasize death. So he's the only man that I've ever been with is something else that she confesses to Orlando. And he's like, well, wait a minute. Hold on. What's that supposed to mean?
You say He's the only man you've ever been with. Exactly. What do you mean by that?
And so she's like, I was a virgin. And then they're talking about, family. And he's like, well, I would love to meet your mother. Maybe she could mentor my girls. Because remember, he has 3 daughters. And so then she says, well, tell me about your wife. And he's like, well, lately I've been thinking about the little things in the relationship he had with his wife. And he's like, I would give anything just to share one of those moments, like when she would drive the car and use all the gas, like the things
waiting to exhale.
Yes, like the things that were irritating, but he would just give anything to just be irritated. You know what I mean? Like he just wants her back, the good, the bad, and, irritating even. But, she's gone and she's died from cancer. So you're not trying to get me drunk, are you? Is the next thing that he asked, because Helen is just like, oh, well, basically bottoms up, drink up, right?
All right. Now look, you're not trying to get me drunk, are you?
Oh, no.
All right.
And so then they talk a little bit more and get a little flirtatious. And Helen's like, I want you to make love to me just once.
I want you to make love to me. Just once.
And I won't ask again.
And I promise I'll never ask you again.
And the crowd is like going wild because she is really being very bold, to just say this to Orlando. And by the way,
they've been dating for a while from what it seems
so this isn't the first date, just to be clear. So from the way it seemed though, and by the way, Orlando played Mike in the Why Did I Get Married, the play. So somebody brought that up in the comments of the first part of this. Oh, and so that's the same actor, who played Mike.
I can hardly tell.
Yeah. So but somebody had also commented, they were like, and Mike is light skinned in the play instead of, the Mike that we know from the films. And so Orlando basically turns her down on this idea of sex because he's like, first of all, I'm Christian.
I'm Christian.
Second, if we did it, you gonna want it again.
If we were to do that, you'd want to again.
That mean he waiting to get married?
Yeah, he's gonna wait.
Uh-huh.
And we saw this.
Lie. You're gonna want it again.
But we saw this in the movie, right? Because then that was the point where I felt like it was a little unrealistic because of how close contact that they were, right? Yeah. In the movie, they sleeping together, spooning and all this, and it never goes too far. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like waiting to exhale, right? That's a really good example. And so Helen is like, well, just hold me then. So, hold me like this, right? So he comes up behind her and he like kisses her shoulder, hugging her from behind or whatever.
Supposed to be this close to you and just hold you.
And he's like, how am I supposed to be this close to you? And then it doesn't lead to anything. Basically, are you trying to tempt me?
Are you trying to set me up?
Uh-huh. And just as they're about to kiss, then he gets a phone call.
You hold me like this.
Saved by the bell.
And it's his daughter. And his daughter has had like a bad dream. And he's like, oh, I'm on my way home right now, and so he leaves. And of course, she's pouting and it kind of throws in a little bit of comedy because she's doing it behind his back. She don't want him to see.
Now you go on upstairs and I'll tuck you in when I get there.
And then he winds up leaving, but he says, well, I guess it's true. Like when temptation is great, the Lord basically will provide an escape.
They say when temptation is great, he'll provide an escape, huh?
Ain't that the truth?
And so the escape was his daughter calling so that he could wind up not sleeping with her and, doing what
going to hell?
Basically doing what he doesn't think is right, So.
It's been 3 months since I had sex and it was with Charles.
It starts off with a voiceover of Helen like, dear diary, that man, I just can't stop thinking about him.
I want to know what it would be like to be with a real man.
And Helen is hot and heavy for Orlando. And then she asks herself, do I want Orlando or am I just trying to get rid of Charles? And she's like, well, I don't care either way. I want him bad, basically. And so then she also at the end says, and I got Charles out of the shower after 3 days. So when Orlando was over there, the shower is running and Charles has been in the shower for 3 days.
I got Charles out of the shower after 3 days. I think he's suffering from hypothermia.
He was dating a man with a husband in the house and then she's calling to set up a date.
Just wild. And so Charles is there and he's like, you wrong.
You're wrong.
And Orlando is on the way over.
When he gets here, you'll get to see a real man.
And, you know, she tells him, well, when he gets here, you're going to be able to see what a real man is like, you know.
5 minutes away? Come on.
Yeah,
And
she's just doing all this stuff,
all
throwing
in
it in
his
his face,
face.
talking about someone please call 911.
The Wyclef Jean reference and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Someone please call 911.
Bet you want to call for help.
Right, and you telling them, oh, you really gonna do it? Basically, that sort of thing. Like, hey, I need you to do something if you want to get some food and water and stuff. And then she tell him, why don't you bark like a dog?
Why don't you go on and bark like a dog?
Yeah.
So she's still being petty. And then so she starts singing and dancing or whatever, singing Independent Women, Destiny's Child.
All the women independent, throw your hands up at me.
And I think that song is definitely on the Charlie's Angels soundtrack. If you don't know because you're too young, this song was huge. Like, if you couldn't turn on the radio without hearing that song, it was very huge. You know, Beyonce and Destiny, well, who was a member of Destiny's Child.
Destiny's
I started to say
Child.
Beyonce and Destiny's Child, but because I'm saying it for the sake of the people who may not be as familiar with Destiny's Child, but because I, you know, some of y'all are young, some of y'all might not even been born when the songs came out. Some of y'all probably wasn't born when this play came out. You know, so
Dang.
yeah, I know. Ain't that crazy? Somebody said, "Oh, the play was actually 2001." Okay, listen. 2002, when we give you the dates of these plays, we're talking about when the play was recorded or released or came out.
Yeah, so the thing is that a movie can be, you know, made before it's out on media
Yeah.
or quote officially released. So, but yeah, these are the official dates
Yeah.
that's attached to these things when they're registered with what they should be registered with.
Right.
Those agencies. Yeah.
So just to kind of clear that up. And also, you know, to make the point that the plays probably ran for years. They could have run for a
Yeah.
few years. And so, you know, it could have been, you know, a range of dates. But the point is, this is what the DVD box says. Like, we're looking
Right.
at the DVD box when we
yeah,
telling you
because some
this
people
stuff.
talk about, oh, I like to play with the other actress before or this actress instead of the older actress. And like, it's not just a one set thing. That's the whole thing with plays and different runs of, you know, plays in theater, you know?
Yeah.
It changes from even night to night.
Yeah.
This isn't a definitive work, I guess, but it's the one that's captured on media for us to watch.
Right. Which is kind of the thing about plays, right? And I think of all of the things that I know I personally missed out on by not being able to go to Broadway. Well, I shouldn't say being able, but, you know, not really having access, right? I don't live, you know, where they're doing Broadway plays. It would be expensive. I would have to travel. The tickets are not cheap, you know, all of that stuff. But you don't get to experience a lot of this stuff. I really wish I could have seen The Color Purple.
You seen Hamilton?
But I mean, I saw him. Yeah. I mean, so I saw it. I didn't see it in person, obviously. Now, we did go see a couple of things.
Oh, yeah.
We actually saw Ghost. This wasn't a Broadway thing, but I mean, it was live and it had music.
Bruh, this was so many years ago, but it was just mind-blowing the technology they were using.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen anything in I don't know how long, probably since a child. I was like, what the world?
But it was kind of cool to see it. And it was, I don't know what year that was. It was probably like 2013, maybe.
I don't know.
Something like that. But anyway, we saw it in Dallas. And the big draw for me was when I saw the commercial on TV for it was that there's the point where they're making it like, you know, I guess it was a hologram or something that they used to do these tricks to make it look like an actual ghost, and, you know, stuff was 3D. So it wasn't just a play by itself with regular, you know, with no special effects. So, but anyway, if you don't get the opportunity to experience it, then you just miss it, right? And so I still like this. Hey, at least this is better than nothing. At least I was able to see this recording. So anyway, we know that Orlando is on his way over because she talks to Orlando on the phone. And then Charles, in the middle of her dancing, gets up and walks across the room.
I know you could get down like that. Tell me how your angel get down like that.
Mind you, he's sitting in a wheelchair. I was not expecting that. I was surprised. Tyler Perry, you got me on that one. I was like, wait, what?
Tell me how your angel get down like that.
And again, because, you know, we know what happens in the movie, right? So he then confesses that he was temporarily paralyzed and the doctor gave him something and whatever. And now the doctor is saying he's going to be just fine.
I was temporarily paralyzed.
What?
When did he go to the doctor?
Well, I
when
don't
it
know.
first
Maybe
happened,
he was. I
which
don't
was,
know.
who knows
So
how
then back
long?
to the thing where you said they've been dating a while. Maybe they hadn't then.
That's what they said. We've been dating. Well, we've
I
been on
don't
a couple dates
know.
at least, maybe, right?
Well, so I guess
but then he was only in the shower for 3 days.
Yeah, it's something is not quite right there.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm looking at it through the lens of the film, and that's what's confusing me. But anyway, so he says, "Come here," and he holds out his hand.
Come here. It's all right.
Now, listen, if you have done the dirt to this man that she has done while she's trying to torture him, are you coming over there to walk to him when he holds his hand out?
Well, she's scared of him. So
Yeah.
you was when he couldn't move, then she got a butt on her back, right?
Mhm.
But then once he gets up, then she reverts back to who she was before.
Yes. And so he sits down and she sits down and she is definitely scared, like you said. But you made a point about the film. Would she have done all that stuff if he could walk and he could move around? And you said in the movie, like how when she backhanded him and she, her physical abuse to him, like she would not have been doing any of that if he could have fought back. And I mean, we see an exact version of what that would be, right? In the way this one plays out. So Charles says, hey, when he was in the hospital, he prayed and he talked to God and God showed him what was important. And he comes to the conclusion, like, you are what's important, not this money, not my clients, not this, me being an attorney. You are what's important and you are a gift to me from God. And when I mistreated you, it was like a slap in the face to God. So this is the epiphany that Charles has had. So it's another reason why he's taking it, because you think about it. He sat up in the shower for 3 days and didn't have to, or maybe he just pretended to sit there. Who knows?
Yeah.
But her mother comes in and then her mother sees Charles standing up and her mama is like, wait. I mean, we're sitting there, and her mama's like, well, and she says, hey, he's not paralyzed anymore, blah, blah, blah.
Mama, Charles is no longer paralyzed. Can you believe this? Look at him. What?
And he's like, well, look, I want to talk to you. And she's like, I only have about 5 minutes. And then he gets to trying to talk. And then she tells him to talk to the hand.
A lot of things,
Time's up, baby.
And so again, this is the second thing he did to her earlier in the play, putting her hand in his face. He put his hand in her face
And
first.
he said he only got 5 minutes earlier, right?
Mm-hmm. And so she's like, you got 5 minutes. And so then, but Orlando's at the door now. So she goes and answers the door and she's all, hey, baby, and Orlando comes in.
Hey, Orlando.
Hi, sweetheart. You look great.
Oh, you look great yourself.
He talking about he gonna take her out, and they gonna have a wonderful time together. And then he sees Charles and her mother there. He like, oh, you didn't tell me you had company.
Sweetheart, you didn't tell me you had company.
And so
But this guy to be so holy and sanctified, he don't mind getting with a married woman.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, we can't smash, but come on, let's go on dates while you still married to this man who you live with.
Mm-hmm. So, well, I don't think he knew that Charles was there, though.
Yeah, but once he showed up, then he's
now
like,
he knows.
hey, you have a diamond, but looking for rhinestones. And now he's going back and forth with Charles talking about, I am going on a date with your wife this weekend.
Because when everyone leaves the room, Charles confronts Orlando and he's like, you need to get the hell out of my place.
You need to get the hell out of my place.
And then he's all like, well, I don't think you the one that invited me in. And, it's all these little, back and forth tit for tat or whatever.
I don't remember you being the one inviting me in.
And he's like, you ain't taking my wife nowhere. And he's like, your wife, I thought you were getting a divorce and whatever.
Nowhere.
Your wife.
That's what I said, my wife.
Divorce ain't finalized. Come on, so you going to stick to it by the book.
Mm-hmm.
Quote by the book. Then, hey.
Literally. But he says, I'm going to take her out this week and show her the best time of her life. And then Charles kind of has a change of mind as he's thinking about everything. And he changes his tune and he's like, well, just make her happy. She deserves to be happy.
Just make her happy. I mean, after all, she deserves that.
And then Orlando he decides he going to go to the car and wait for Helen there. So he tells her that. But then Myrtle comes in and, that's Helen's mother. And she starts talking to Charles.
If he's what makes her happy, that's exactly what she needs to be.
And if, Charles is like, if he's what makes her happy, then that's exactly where she needs to be. So then Helen comes downstairs. She got her bags with her. And
I'm leaving, Charles.
she's like, I'm leaving. And the crowd.
Did Orlando know she was leaving?
Well,
Just
I think she just packed for the overnights with him, right?
Whatever. So if I'm going on a date, right? Hey, come on, pick me up. All right, I'll go.
They're
pick you
going
up.
sailing or
Come out.
whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was. Because I would have been thinking sort of like Corey, the YouTuber. They showed up with bags and everything.
I know, like, where are you going with that? No, so she's got to change her clothes appropriately, so it makes sense.
Yeah, a big old
But
suitcase.
I don't think that this is like her actually packing and leaving, but she's like, I'm leaving to go with him, which is still a decision in this moment, right? It is still symbolically and physically choosing to go out with this
Orlando.
man, even though your husband has expressed he wants to rekindle things, right?
Yeah, but
And
she already signed the papers by then.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
So she says she's leaving, and then somebody in the crowd is like, keep going, baby.
Helen, I am sorry.
And, so like, I love that aspect of the plays too, because, we're going to yell stuff out in the middle of the play too. And so Charles gives her the divorce papers, and then she signs them, doesn't even think twice about it. And he says, okay, well, I'll never bother you again. And she walks out. And so then
He said, I'll never bother you again.
no, right?
There's your divorce.
I'll never bother you again.
And her mother is so dramatic. Her mother and Charles are left, and they're talking, and he's like, I just wanted a second chance. And then, Helen's mother says to him, well, God forgives us and everything like that. And, basically, when a woman's heart is like a vault, and when you in, you in, but when you out, you out.
Once you're in, you're in. But once you're out, you're out.
Yeah.
And the crowd, loved that line or whatever. But then before we know it, Helen comes back and she says she really loves Charles.
I still love Charles very much.
And she tells her mother, because Charles goes upstairs after this. So then now it's just Helen and her mother. And she's like, she really loves Charles. And then she tells her mother, her mother says, you got to know your heart. And she said, well, can I forgive him and still leave? Because that's what happens in the movie, right? She says she forgives him, but she still divorces him. She still leaves and gets Orlando. And the mother says, well, how about we talk to the father and ask him what to do? Of course, they're going to start singing, and they're basically praying for the answer to this, what should be done.
Yeah.
I know that you are listening.
She ain't get down and pray for nothing about, being a good person or doing a moral thing or treating this man better or right. But she got down about which man should I go with.
I got options, Lord. I got options. And so they sing the song, that song, Father, Can You Hear Me? That starts out like that Tiffany Evans sings in the movie.
Father, please hear me, Lord.
And so, but it's Tamela Mann and the main character here singing this song. And so Charles comes back downstairs and starts singing too.
Father, just forgive me.
So they all, just getting their praise on. And toward the end of the song, the mother asks, well, will you love my daughter forever?
Will you love my daughter forever?
And he sings, yes.
I love your daughter forever.
And, Orlando still outside?
Orlando is in the car just waiting, and basically
Did
what
she
happened...
say, give me a second, I need to run back in? Or
No,
what?
what happened is they get back together, right? This couple, Charles and Helen.
Yeah.
They end up choosing to get together. And she stays there, and Orlando is just in the car.
Orlando is just burning
missing.
gas.
It's just over, right? Nothing. He done all this. She was a
Orlando is
gold digger
outside.
and everything. Tried to get with him. He was trying to be a good guy and stuff.
Orlando might have dodged a
and
bullet.
Orlando is just sitting in the car, got stood up by this woman who went back with her husband when he done paid for this trip. So the thing is that what Helen went through with Charles, it took her, it brought this rift between her and God, but what Charles went through, it brought him closer. So what she done to him versus what he done to her.
Now that's
And
interesting.
It's probably just, depends on the person and the situation too. But he also had to deal with what he done that caused her to do what she done.
Yeah.
But-
And she did have 3 conditions, though, about getting back together or whatever, because, they hug and make up, and so they're going to stay together. Go to church every Sunday. You got to get counseling and never hit her again.
Okay,
and
promise.
That's it. But so what we see here is I guess, forgiveness exhibited. And to me, in the movie, it was always a question of whether was it really forgiveness. I don't know.
So the story in this one is better than the movie somewhat, except for leaving the Orlando out, right? And I think that he changed the ending because it's probably what the audience wanted. The audience probably don't want you to get back with the guy who they revealed done all this stuff to Helen. So I just think that she, that ending changed. And then, the different things about, like, she, and I talked about it when we talked about the movie, how it isn't like he got better. You know what I'm saying? He got better, and then she's like, all right, my work here is done. So now I can leave my husband for this other guy. If it had been done in this play and been like, all right, he can walk and everything's fine. Now I don't have to care for him. But she wasn't even caring for him at all. In the movie, she ended up caring for him. And this one, it was just like...
She just neglected him for the most part.
Yeah. But them getting back together is, I think, the better ending than whatever happened at the end of the movie.
I agree with you. I think that they had to change it this way, or he chose to change it this way, because now we're talking a broader audience. Most of the audience that we would see in this film is going to be church-going people who are Christians and, who can understand this decision. But to a secular audience, they're not going to like this end, that ending, just like what you said.
The audience basically told him, man, he should have got, because you had time, right? And you got the feedback. She should have went with Orlando.
Well, and I think too, this reminds me another thing of Josh Johnson, the comedian. We were watching the interview with him, and he was saying how, I think it was him, how when you tell jokes, it gives you the opportunity to get the feedback directly from the crowd.
Yeah, when you're doing
stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And this is much the same thing. You already have an inkling as to what people think about it. And we heard people yelling out like they didn't want her to go back to her husband.
Yeah, they didn't want Orlando to leave when he left.
Right. So you've got that. But I do think that the play is a better story.
Yeah.
I think the play makes her a bigger person.
Exactly.
A better person.
They both done each other wrong, because what she done to him was just wrong, right? And then what he done to her was just wrong. And then he just like the time frame thing, and a matter of minutes they get back together, but it's hinged on, all right, she prayed and God basically told her what to do. And there were conditions.
But then
right?
you do have the implication. So here's my other question. What if Charles in this play was going to continue to be paralyzed and couldn't walk? But what if it was the same thing? I want you back.
Ooh.
I love you now. I want to be with you.
But so then he wouldn't have to, because he don't need her, right? So when he said it could be seen as more genuine, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't go and choose that other lady in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Versus if he's, paralyzed and like, yeah, I want the person who's going to care for me.
And that's the complicated thing, right? Because here, if he doesn't need her, but if he needs her, then we question his motives for wanting to get back to her with her in the first place. And also,
and she wasn't caring for him.
She don't want to burden herself. That would have been part of the decision between him and Orlando, because maybe in the movie that is, that's figured in. Right. Do I want to be a caregiver forever to somebody after I've already fallen in love with this other dude or not?
But also in the movie, she was caring for him, which would be reason for him to want to stay with her as well. But she didn't even do that. All she did was just torture him. And then he's still like, I
love
get
you
back
still.
Together.
I want to be with
sorry.
you. Yeah. So do you think this is, to ask if it's realistic is sort of ridiculous, but okay. But in a situation where he knew he did her wrong and being willing to take her abuse for this short time by comparison, because this wasn't 20 years of abuse. So, let's just say a few months or whatever, if that long of that, is his offer, like, did he give up too much? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like,
What did he give up? I don't understand.
Well, what about him wanting to be with her even after that? You know, is it a reasonable thing that he's like, well, I want her back so bad, I'm willing to take all of this from her?
Because I guess he made him realize that he was wrong and maybe she was a good woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then he doesn't have to give up anything because he was ultimately the wrong one and hers was just a response to what he done.
Yeah. I don't know. When he was like, come here, I just was like, man, she gonna be scared to go over there when he held his hand out. And anybody who was doing him like that would be afraid to do it. But so do you think that he was truly changed? Like, do you feel that he will?
Yeah, because that's just, that's what the play tells us. That's just it.
Because in the movie, I think Charles has changed, but he's also like left in this position where his life is so different than it used to be that it's hard to believe that he won't carry forward some level of bitterness. Maybe not toward her, but like toward still being in a wheelchair.
But what about Orlando though?
All that was taken.
That's messed up.
Orlando in the play is
Orlando
just
is still in the car
outside. He's just
he left him on red, bruh. That's what happened.
Sorry. But just the notion, because we don't really get the resolution as to what happened to him.
They just like, all right, they decided to get together.
No. Like, did she say, no, just go ahead without me. I need to handle this. Or was she like, hold on a second, I'll be back in a minute. He just never comes back.
Dang, bro.
She never comes back. But yeah, this was interesting. And then I also sometimes want to know, like, what happens. Like, we never got to know what happened to Trina in the Why Did I Get Married series. What happens to Brenda? What happens to these side chicks?
Why didn't he take Trina with him? And Why Did I Get Married?
Why did he?
Yeah, they broke up in the second movie. Why didn't he?
Well, yeah. Well, so we know, but what I'm saying is, like, I just would have liked a little more detail. I mean, we got some inklings, she was blowing through money and, a gold digger. And certainly once he got his diagnosis, she wasn't going to be around. But,
who knows?
Yeah. But all in all, I'm glad we watched this play. I thought it was pretty doggone funny at some parts. I think the humor, and I said this in the first part, and I'll reiterate it here. The humor in these earlier plays is much to me better than the humor we see with Medea now, and I like it better. And
it's kind of what he was trying to get at. You're probably just out of touch. You're old, you're rich, you're in your ivory tower. So
yeah,
you just can't help it sometimes when you get quote successful, right? It's not like an indictment on you. It's just you just out of touch. There's no way you can know what's going on.
Okay, so which one is better, the play or the movie before we go?
For me, man, it's got to be the movie because all them damn songs.
Yeah. So for me, the movie, like, man, I wish that we could combine elements as far as the plot of both of them, because the movie was great in terms of her abuse of him after that was like wonderful. Then I liked about having, kind of getting a storyline of other characters that are going on a little bit too. But I do recognize the limitations of the play and kind of that you can't be having all that extra stuff go on, like with the, addicted, mother of these young children and all that was going on with Brian's wife. I mean, I just think it'll be a little harder, maybe. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have liked to have a little bit of that. I feel like I favor the movie because I don't need as much of the comedy, as we get in the plays. Give me a little smidge, but it goes on. Some of them go on for too long.
Some of the what?
The comedy.
Oh, in the play.
Yeah, in the play.
It does, and they take up a good portion of it. But that's kind of probably what the audience
wanted and everything. And if I was in the audience, I'd have been cackling too. Because again,
if you're gonna give me all them songs, you might as well give me jokes too. Because like at the end, I don't want you to start singing and then you do give me the resolution. Give me the resolution, sing so I could get up and leave while y'all singing.
Shut up! You always want to just get out the parking lot fast. But yeah, okay. Well, you guys go to the comments. What play should we cover next?
Ooh, yeah.
Tell us what play we should cover next.
And if you made it this far, type $4 million in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who stick around to the end.
And be sure to check out one of the videos that's on the screen right now, and also visit axiom.app, where you'll find all of our recent videos from all of our channels, because this ain't the only one, and you'll have links back to them so you can watch them here on YouTube.